I'm gonna give you the only 3 plyometric exercises that every athlete actually needs, and we're gonna start right now. I'm Olympic strength coach Dane Miller. One big thing I wanna bring up here is that when I've coached at the Olympics, when I've been to 10 world championships, we always see athletes doing plyometrics. And when I'm thinking through that, and when I'm building out programs for athletes or programs with coaches, one of the big things that I think through is what specific plyometrics should we start at? What should be our foundation? And that's where these 3 exercises come in, is that these are the plyometric foundational movements, and in all reality, you don't need anything else, okay? And the best part about most of them is you don't even need equipment. Now I'm standing here holding a cone and I'm about to demonstrate something to you, but what we wanna do here is think about someone like Werner Gunther. Dude was an absolute monster. He would do one movement very, very consistently, and that first exercise was the movement that he would do. He would do double leg bounds or a broad jump, okay? So he would get set here and he would just hit that nice broad jump. When I've been at the Olympics and I've seen athletes warming up, oftentimes they might just be warming up here just to get their nervous system rolling, doing that broad jump. You could do this movement using our 5S protocol, where you'll hear slow, you'll hear stop, here a little faster, and then obviously we can get into some more sport specific movements. One thing that you can do in training is we could do like 5 sets of 1 jump or 5 sets of 2 jumps, and we can make 2 jumps something like this. I've got my cone here. This is my first jump. We got a 10 here, boom, and I hit that. I'm gonna put this down right where my foot is. Second thing I'm gonna do is second jump. I gotta try and beat that. Here. Oh, I think I beat it a little bit. We wanna think about our counter movement. So this is where, as a coach, as an athlete, we can start to break down our technique. What's our counter movement depth? Is it short and sweet? Is it a little long? How low are we getting? The next thing, what's our arm swing look like? Are we here and we're swinging like this? If we're a beginner and we've never been taught, we don't have that intuitive nature to do a jump or to do an arm swing, then we have to be aware of what that should look like. Finally, we're gonna look at our chest. Are we trying to project out? And then that chest degree is usually gonna have a massive impact on our shin angle. So when we're trying to teach someone how to do a broad jump, that's just 1 rep, we've gotta think through counter movement, arm swing, chest, how we project out, and then finally, which I did not mention, what are we doing in the air? If we look at the best vertical jumpers, if they're on a jump mat, they jump and then they swing back through. It's the same thing on a broad. We don't wanna just jump and stay here. We can swing a little bit and then come back through. We can keep our arms out if we're going super, super deep and we're able to land forward. I think some athletes do feel a little bit more comfortable with the arm swing back through and then on the grounding. So it'd be here, okay? So sort of like swing back through. I think I just beat that cone. So I'd swing back through, and then it could even look like this where I'll try and keep it out, but it's gonna feel uncomfortable for me, so I'll try not to be too awkward. Here, that's really weird. So those are 2 options, but the big things come back to, with the broad jump, what's the counter movement, okay? What's the arm swing here? How deep are we going there? And try to stay a little bit shorter with that counter movement. What's our chest projection? How are we landing? And then finally, I'm gonna throw one thing in here. So we've got those 2 cones set up. And let's say, now we're taking the broad jump and we're gonna say, all right, let's do 2 repetitively. And this is probably the best way to determine your counter movement, is that we can get set and see where we land on that second one. And if you reflect back to where I talked about using this as like an easy warm up, where I'm going like this, you can see that counter movement got established just by a nice, easy position. Now what we can do, and this is where we're gonna see the arm swing come into play and being athletic. A lot of beginners will jump and then they're really slow and delayed on that recoil with their upper body. What I wanna do in the air, if we go back to when I taught you how to land the first time with that swinging through and then land, that's gonna help you for this movement right here, where you can do 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 broad jumps in a row. That's the visual I have right now, is Werner Gunther on the beach. He's got all these women around him and he's doing like 10 broad jumps down the beach. And that's what we can do here, minus the beach, minus the women. So that first big exercise is a broad jump. It's versatile, it's incredible. And it's gonna take us into the next exercise, the second exercise, which is gonna be a unilateral movement. Okay, so I've been thinking about all the programs that I've built recently and laying out what that looks like for each athlete that trains with me here in the trenches here at Garage Strength. And one of the big things that we always use is this single leg pogo hop, okay? And so what we're gonna do here is start basic. Okay, so start like we're dealing with something simple. We're gonna have a beginner athlete, let's say they're in 6th grade, 7th grade, or somebody who's 25 and they just wanna get in shape and they wanna train like an athlete. What they're gonna do is we'll go into our athlete day. We're gonna have a day that we lift weights, we're gonna have a day that we do upper body, we're gonna have a day that we do athlete-based work, okay? And we'll do a pogo hop. And it's just gonna look like this, right? Nice and easy, and we wanna do both sides, okay? So this would be that first sort of repetitive work that we're doing. For somebody who's starting off and they want to get rolling in training, they want to get twitchier, they want to have more fast twitch muscle, they want to recruit faster, okay, they want to get more coordinated. We might just start here, up, land, up, land, up, land, and then we do that here, up, land, up, land, up, land. And you can see on the counter movement there where the body shifts the load to try and compensate. And then you see that shift and then you can use that in your strength program. So oftentimes what a lot of you guys miss is that lifting will help you become faster. It will help you become more explosive. Okay, and in this case now, I just showed you what I'm doing with the single leg pogo here, boom. Now I wanna try and think about reacting quickly. And if you noticed, I started to bring my knee up. Okay, so this is another unique factor, is that when we start to do simple movements, just remember the whole point of this is the 3 best plyometrics, the only 3 you will ever need. I'm not saying that you should never do anything else, but if you sat down and said, I'm just doing 3 plyos the rest of my life, these are the only 3, and these are the variations that you would build off of that. Now here, I'm going boom, 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 boom. And if you notice there, the arm cycling. When you have a more inexperienced athlete or an athlete that's not as explosive, they really struggle with cycling their arms. Well, that's where stair jumps can come into play. You can see it on a depth drop, you can see it on the broad jump as I demonstrated earlier. So when we're trying to teach this technique, I like to teach it as though it's a spring or a shock that's getting absorbed here and then unloading. Absorbed, unloading. And what that's gonna look like is the knee will travel forward, the hip will typically go backwards. So we're in this sort of like hip flexion position with the knee flexion, and our chest will come forward along with that just a little bit to create that hip flexion here. And then what happens is now hands up, hands up, hands up. Look at my right leg, boom, boom, boom. And this is where movements like our RDL to a hip lock, those movements that we use, that helps us with a pogo hop. Okay, so now you can see I just did that on a line. You could have somebody do this, boom, a little quicker, here, boom, boom, okay? And we wanna teach, foot pressure should stay from like here forward. Try to avoid the heel really getting flat. It will happen, especially if we start training like a triple jumper, they will land flat-footed, that's part of the game. And even if we're going to jump in like basketball, that penultimate step will be flat. But in movements like this, I think it's a little bit more beneficial to cue staying a little bit more mid to forefoot. Now, I'm gonna show you some creative things that you can do. And this is where when we're doing exercises, I think it's key as a strength coach to have benchmarks. So we create a benchmark for specific lifts and specific jumps and specific speed movements and endurance exercises. And that's how we create our entire system, right? Like it's all based off of our workouts that we've done in the past. We compile the data and that's how we build these athletes. So then a new athlete that comes in, we can say, hey, this is where we've got to work towards. And where I'm going with this is that if we use something like mini hurdles, this becomes our measurement. So we can measure distance, okay, about 2.5 to 3 feet apart. We can measure height if we really want to get into it. And then we can see ground contact time with the athlete. And then that's going to help us know that the work that we've done over the last 4 to 8 weeks is paying off or it's not paying off. And then that's going to help us improve the system. Okay, so in this case, we have these pogo hops set up. I'm doing a single leg pogo hop. And I did want to just go off even a little more here is if you notice when I was talking about my right knee coming through on the left-legged jump, is that my right will come through. And if you watched our Michael Drock video where he talked about whipping from the hip, it's really setting that up. This is a plyo that will make you freaking fast. One, through acceleration, but also through when we're at top speed. So we're here, boom, 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 boom. Okay, so we can go through that. You can use this movement as a teaching tool for your programming. You use it as a way to learn how the athlete reacts, but then at the same time, you're using it to jump higher, to run faster, to accelerate quicker, and to just be stronger and more stable as an athlete. So use these single leg pogo hops. You could use these 2 days a week. You could just also use this as a warm up. You can even do it laterally, but make sure that you have some guide for, is it the hurdle, height, or hurdle distance as well. So this next movement we're gonna go into is gonna be upper body base. And I would even argue that doing a rope climb could be a plyometric for the upper body if you're not using your feet, because you're just accelerating the whole way through. And I think just thinking through plyometrics in the lens of like rapid reaction, rapid acceleration, and even to the point where lifting heavy, you're more in the moment. You're more conscious of the barbell on your back. You got to go through the eccentric. You can really think through the concentric movement. It's a little bit slower, so you have to be a little bit more present. When we're thinking about the upper body, one thing that I've seen with a lot of our beginners is that they struggle with stability. So we're gonna do a clap push-up, and I'm gonna show you like 5 variations of this that you guys can use to develop a little bit more power output from your upper body with yourself and with your athletes. So even if you're a coach, you should be practicing this. So if I'm getting into position here, right, I'm gonna go here, and I wanna just explode up, okay? Here, up, like this, up. And some kids can't even do that in the beginning, which is perfectly normal. Like, this is very normal. It took me a while to just get decent at push-ups. So some kids we can actually do almost like a little modified, like this, okay? So they're here, and they just get like a little double bounce or a little hop. So that's like 2 easy movements. Now, where I was going with this is that a lot of younger athletes, once they start to learn how to accelerate, and then when they catch in that position, their shoulder joint has a better co-contraction, okay? And they can catch and drive, catch and drive. And what ends up happening is we'll see their incline bench or their flat bench go up like 50, 60, 70 pounds. Actually, we have a kid, RJ Cruz, right now, who's in 8th grade, hurt his hamstring out on the football field. And I said, look, 50 clap push-ups every single night. All of a sudden, his 5 rep max went from 205 to 255. Kid's in 8th grade. Just from doing those clap push-ups, and that was over about 6 weeks. The next thing, we showed you that little hop. We showed you a little drive for extension. The next thing is gonna be a little bit more challenging. This is very, very hard, and what you can do here is almost just start here, okay? And you see that little shake, right? So you can do like a simple push-up on the PVC to really wake up the nervous system. Then the next thing you can do is go into that explosive position. When I have this, I like to use this PVC on one arm if I have somebody who's like a wrestler or a football player or a field hockey player here. They can get in set, come up, boom, boom, boom. So now they're getting a little more explosive push, but it does have some plyo qualities that then set you up for this last thing here. I've demonstrated this in past videos where kids just sort of go like this. They do like the penguin clap. They don't really drive, okay? And I think that that's one thing we have to bring up, and that's why I love this specific plyometric exercise. When we do push-ups to boxes, the intent is absurdly high compared to clap push-ups. I'm gonna get into this position here. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so let's do like sets of 3 to 5 reps. We do this 5 to 6 sets, 3 to 5 reps. Tamon Johnson just benched 500 pounds 20 minutes after he did push-ups to boxes, because we only did them for about doubles to triples to really wake up his nervous system, and that led to that great output from his upper body. So this movement here is the best plyometric for upper body. Now, I have one more exercise. So I said 3 in the beginning. I've got one more that we're gonna use, and you guys can go try this today out of the field to become more explosive. Okay, so this last series, and I know in the beginning I said the only 3 that you'll ever need. This is where I wanted to just get creative for you and demonstrate how we work through different problems or different areas that athletes have and how we troubleshoot and how we figure it out and then how we write that into our program. And that's something I wanted to share with you guys too, is that we put together our Peak Strength app. One of the big things that we've done is we take these benchmarks, we take these tests, and we write that into now our software in Peak Strength. And that's what we're doing here at the gym. When we've developed the Olympians, when we've developed these elite level football players or whoever it is, we're thinking through those specific benchmarks that I had laid out, even using the measurements, the feedback that you get from the mini hurdles. So that's stuff that we do inside of our strength training at Peak Strength that we're designing based off of the specific sport and the specific level and the time of year and all of those different facets that go into elite level programming. So if you guys want to become elite, you want to take your game to the next level, head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store, and you can test it out for a full free week of training. Now, this movement is like one of the challenging, really hard exercises that I'm not great at, but I'm gonna show you how we have this set up for a measurement. So we're gonna take the first exercise, the broad jump, so we can go through this with just that step-by-step process. I'm gonna try and make it over here. Boom. Notice, landed on my left leg in one jump. I'm pretty happy about that. Now I'm gonna go side here, boom, landed on two. Here, boom, boom. Wow, look at how bad I am over there. So that's gonna be a nice process through. I could, in theory, come back and do the exact same thing to train both sides. I'm gonna demonstrate a little bit faster going through this. And so we have a double leg bound to a single leg side jump, to a double leg bound to a single leg forward jump. So we could even make this more challenging where we have another lateral from the single leg position. I think if you train both ways and you do, three this way, three the other way, that's gonna help you increase your overall touches on the ground with that high speed. So I just went through this. My brain's processing it. I'm thinking through, how do I execute this at high speeds? Now I can go here, boom, boom. So now I went through with like minimal hiccups, but my contact time was pretty long. And if we remember back to the Drock videos, ground contact time at top speed should be shorter. So for acceleration, we're gonna have longer ground contact. We still don't want it to be crazy, crazy long, but if we're sprinting at high speeds or we're jumping, the quicker we can put out a massive amount of force, the more athletic, the more explosive we become. Okay, that's the impulse that we talk about. That's impulse expression. So we're going here, boom, 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 boom. Oh, I made it to the line. Think through it, and you don't even have to have these set up. You can just have like markers on a football field, markers at a playground, markers at your backyard, wherever. Work through this like 4 or 5 times each direction. That's gonna help you become a better athlete. It's gonna help you with that procession, okay, with the process. And then as a coach, it's just making sure where the cuts are slow, where the cuts are a little off, and then you can keep building out that program. Because remember, freaks, if you wanna become a champion, you've always gotta cultivate your power. Peace.